So our pub theology on Thursday, we sat down and kind of discussed this verse, and I think we left that with more questions than answers. Sometimes that happens when you're reading scriptures and studying it. This concept that Jesus is trying to give to us today about him being the gate, and we'll get into that in a minute, but it can be confusing. But we like to hear the concept that Jesus is the shepherd, because we think a shepherd is somebody that can be out there that helps guide us and lead us in this thing that we call life. And we like the idea that somebody's out there to help us and to protect us when things might go wrong. When the wolves come out of the forest and want to attack us, that the shepherd is there to chase them off. Go away, wolves, we don't want you. Personally, I like the idea of a shepherd watching over me and keeping me on my path, because there's so many times that I know that I want to get off my own path and go do my own thing. But knowing that there's a good shepherd there to guide me back and gently guide me back to where I need to belong. And when there's times when I know I can't get back on the path that Christ wants me there, he's there to pick me up and to carry me back onto the path. But the shepherd, is not an easy job. We don't really have shepherds today. They're not really. If you look up on Craigslist or anywhere where you do a job search, you're not going to find the shepherd out there, because it's not a common job, especially in the United States today. But those who are shepherds, I tell you what, it's a difficult job. You're out there in the wilderness. You're exposed to everything that's out there, and you're responsible for these sheep. And sheep aren't the smartest animals. They kind of want to wander off and go do their own thing. Kind of sounds like us Christians sometimes, that we just want to do our own thing and not listen to what the shepherd has to tell us. But once again, shepherding is not an easy job. And like I said, in the United States, we really don't have it. But, when I was deployed to Iraq, we did see shepherds. They had their flocks. I mean, I think the shepherds that we saw probably were pretty close to the shepherds they would have been around in Jesus' time. They still had the long robes, they still had their rod, and they had all these sheep running around them. So there are still shepherds out in the world that still continue to guard their flock and to keep them safe. And now Jesus is in the scripture to say, he's saying, I am the shepherd. Not only am I the shepherd, I am the good shepherd. We should appreciate that. But also, he says, I am the sheep's door. So what does that mean? And on Thursday, we had a lot of discussion. What does it mean that Jesus is the gate? And they challenged me on Thursday. They said, Dirk, you have a lot of work to do to try to explain what the gate is. I went and did some research. I went into my study guides, the commentaries. And the best thing that I found, now imagine you have a pin where you put the sheep in, and there's the area where the gate is. But now imagine there is no gate, but there's the person who stands at that gate, or at night will sleep by that gate, that nobody can get in. They have to go through that gate where the shepherd is at. The shepherd is the one that will let those in to the corral or out of the corral. So Jesus is really saying, now he's not an object like a door, but he is the gate, because he's the person that stands outside the corral to protect us in times of trouble. The commentary that I read was William Barclay, and it says, in the literal sense, the shepherd was the door. There was no access to the sheep's fold except through him. So the shepherd walked with the sheep during the day, leading them into green pastures and protecting them from danger. At night, the shepherd became the gate, using his body, his presence, to block animals and others that might cause harm to the sheep. Now, I kind of like that image of Jesus being at the gate, protecting us protecting us from the wolves and the things that are out there that are trying to pull us away from him. And like Jesus, a shepherd puts their life down for his sheep, like Jesus did. They're there to protect the sheep every day, like Jesus does for us. A shepherd will put his life on the line night or day to protect his sheep. Jesus does the same for us. So Jesus is our shepherd, and he's also our gate that helps protect us when we need it. He's there to protect us during the day, and he's there to protect us when we sleep. So we need a shepherd. We look at the world today and how the world is turning craziness with all this stuff. We need a good shepherd that will lead us through this time of chaos, this time of the pandemic, because we don't always have guideposts that, especially now as we are in a new era of doing things, we don't have guideposts that are going to lead us to where we're going. But we do have a shepherd that will lead us if we let that shepherd lead us to where we need to go. And Jesus is that shepherd. Jesus will lead us, he will carry us, he will love us. And in John's reading, throughout John's gospel, Jesus says, I am. And today we're finding I'm the good shepherd. I am the gate. I am the truth and the life. Jesus is all these things to us. Jesus continues to walk with us and talk with us. There are some things that Jesus also does. One of the things that Jesus has for us and teaches us is in preparing us for what is ahead is by teaching us his ministry. Jesus taught his disciples these things, some of which they understood right away, and many of them which they did not always understand until after the resurrection. One of the ways that Jesus prepared his disciples was his healing ministry. Jesus did a great and wonderful thing for healing people. Jesus' disciples had the opportunity to see God's power at work and God's work at hand. But most importantly, the way that Jesus prepared his disciples was simply by spending time with one another, walking the dusty roads of Palestine with them, sharing a meal with them, talking with them, sharing stories, showing them examples of what it means to be a godly man or godly woman, how to be a good shepherd. This is how Jesus operated as a shepherd. He walked with them down the path that the sheep walked, leading them, keeping them from danger, talking to them, and more importantly, calling them by name. Jesus was a shepherd to his disciples, as he is to us. He knows us by name. He knows who we are. One of the things that takes me back to is in Luke, when you have the sheep, it's the 99 sheep, or the 100 sheep, and that one that gets away and goes off and does its own thing. Jesus didn't say, well, just let that one go away and we'll take care of the 99. No, what he did as a shepherd was said, you know what, you 99 stay together. I am going to go search for this one that has slipped away. He went and found that sheep. And he carried that sheep back to the flock and loved that sheep. And in this chapter in Luke, it talks about when somebody's lost, what does the good shepherd do? He goes after them. Like the prodigal son, the lost son who comes back after taking all that his father had given to him. And he loved his son, for he even ran to his son when he saw him in the distance. That's what a shepherd does when he is trying to lead his flock. He continues to love them and hold them in times when we want to get away. And we as sheep, or we as humans and followers of Christ, at times we want to do our own thing. We don't want to do it by the way that Jesus wants us to do it. But that shepherd is there to guide us back, to show us the way. And as we continue to live in this time of uncertainty with, like I said before, with this pandemic, we need to turn to the shepherd. And return to and know that the shepherd is there, that not only is there a shepherd, but he's also our gate to protect us from the things that want to get in and to destroy us. And on Thursday, we talked about the different things that could be. Who are these thieves, these bandits that are trying to come in and steal us away? Some of the comments that were made, it could be our jobs, money, career. What are the things during this pandemic that are pulling us away? Who are the thieves during this pandemic that are pulling us away from the flock? Is it separation from one another? Is it not following the regulations and the rules that our government has put out to protect us? Where is, and some might be asking, where is our shepherd during this time? He's there with us. He's in the pen. He's in our flock. And as you look at your screen today, this is our flock. We're not in the church, but we're still a community. We're a community that can meet by the means that God has given to us to be able to continue to be his flock and to continue to be his sheep. We must continue to look out for one another in any ways that we can, and continue to do the work that God has asked us to do, and not to stray away and do our own thing. Because we know the shepherd's voice. And when the shepherd speaks, we need to listen. Even though when we might not want to hear his voice, when he calls, we need to have the ears to hear, the eyes to see, and the faith to follow. So as we continue with this pandemic, continue to listen for the voice of our shepherd, to call us to continue to do the work of Jesus Christ in this time, and to continue to gather as his flock. Even though it might be through Zoom, not the way that we want it to be doing it, but we must continue to love one another, and to love God and love one another, and to love our neighbors as we love ourselves, today, tomorrow, and forevermore. Amen.